George and Martha Washington.
Hi, tell us your name and school and your comment or question for Diane.
Hi, my name is Essence Davis, and I attend Global Leadership Academy Charter School. And my question is, what made you start, like, thinking or writing about Oni, and where can I get your book from?
Okay. One of the things you'll find, and I'm very fortunate to work in the Charles L. Blockson Afro-American Collection, which is part of Temple University Libraries. You'll find, young people, the more you read, it will make you start writing because you're exposed to ideas. And through ideas, some of them you'll agree with, they'll inspire you to say, yes, I can identify with this. I'd like to write something about myself. Or some things you might find disturbing, and you say, well, I'm going to write something because I don't agree with this. But writing is a part of reading, and reading is a part of writing. And in terms of writing about Oni Judge, it was just, as I said, natural for me. After I read how she was being depicted, her story came to me.
Hi, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. My name is Kathleen Lee, and I'm a teacher at the High School of the Future. And I'm also the Master Learn and Serve teacher for the Belmont Mansion Underground Railroad Museum. And I guess my question to you, Doctor, is this. I believe there was an emerging free African population in Philadelphia, the Founding Fathers, that I call the Founding Fathers, like Fortin. What do you think, or can you explain or elaborate on the influence these Founding Fathers may have had on Oni's decision to run away? What would it have been like in the city where you find this emerging free African society?
Oni, by the time she gets to Philadelphia, you have an emerging free black population here. And the historical record does say that she was able to make contact with this free black population. There was also the abolitionist movement here in Philadelphia. And one of the things that Oni was able to do, her and Hercules, I believe, they were allowed to go to the theater by themselves, and so she made contact with this free black community, and it highly influenced her escape because they were the ones that assisted her in her escape. Because once again, you know, when you look at, when you talk about Africans liberating themselves, it was very dangerous. I mean, this woman was very courageous because there were great consequences for liberating yourself.
Welcome to the program. Your comment or question for Diane.
Well, my name is Tanya Timms Taylor. I'm a unit professor at Westchester University. And my question to you is, Frederick Douglass once said that an injustice that could happen to African Americans is if people told their children that they were given freedom. And one of the pieces that you read when you said that Oni took her freedom, what is the role of language in understanding slavery, and also language in understanding the resistance to slavery?
I think that language is very important. If you look at the traditional interpretations and then the revisionist history, you start to find one of the things that I constantly tell my students is that these individuals were not slaves. You know, when you say slave, you can't really identify. When you say enslaved African, what it does is it puts a face or at least a nationality on that individual or ethnic group. And then it also talks about the process to get there. So language is very important. And one of the things that when you look at what's happening now in Texas with the textbooks, there's an attempt to revise them and change this language again. And so for everyone, it's important to get the language right, because if it's not right, then you get a false interpretation. And I should mention that as a historian, you have the facts and then you have the interpretation. And usually the interpretation interpretation in history is influenced by the historian's value judgments or way of looking at the world.
Hi, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. My name is Cecilia Gagne. I'm here to support my little sister, Angelica Gagne, for their children, School of the Future. My question to you is about Oni Judge, and did she have to endure any dangers in her freedom? I mean, in her escape to freedom, or slavery, I'm sorry, I want to say. And when she got to her freedom, what did she do abroad? Like, did she do anything to help further women or help African period toward freeing more slaves or anything like that?
Oni's story is different from Harriet Tubman. And that's one of the things that, which is so important about Oni. You have Oni's story, but my hope is that there'll be other stories that are brought to the forefront in terms of what happens. Oni was considered for her life a fugitive. And so during her lifetime, she had to guard against being taken back into slavery. So although she lived free, she lived very cautiously because she could, if then President George Washington had wanted to, which he didn't want to cause too much commotion about this, he did it very secretively. He could have sent someone to get her and forcibly bring her back, but it didn't happen for a number of reasons.
Diane, you talked about consequences for slaves who escaped and then were caught. What kinds of consequences might they have faced?
The consequences could be both, of course, psychological and physical. One of the things that when you look at this period, and the slave codes were used as mechanisms to control Africans. So the consequence could be being sent back to the place of origin, sold to another plantation, which meant that you would be sold away from your family. It could have been physical. You could have been gotten so many lashes for it. Depending on whether you escaped once or twice, you could even get some limbs cut off and so forth. Sometimes it was even death. And so once again, it was a very dangerous situation for enslaved Africans because in order, like if you look at how do you control people, how do you get people to work for you, basically, and they're not really enjoying the fruits of their labor. And so, like slavery, the mechanisms were forms of terrorism, I would say, in order to control these Africans. Because no one wants to be enslaved. I don't care what anybody says. We could debate that all day, but you just don't want, you want your freedom. I don't care who it is.
Welcome. Your comment or question for Diane.
Good afternoon. My name is Gregory Wright, and I'm the Global Studies teacher at Global Leadership Academy Charter School. My question would be, with all the fugitive slave laws, and how was Oni able to maneuver throughout the area that she was in at the time? And most importantly, did she have a family, and was she able to raise that family in a manner in which of not being so cautious to be living as she had to?
Oni, when she escaped, she left 6th and Market Street one evening and was hidden in the free black community maybe a day or so. And then she was transported to New Hampshire by way of a ship. When she got there, there was a community in Portsmouth which embraced her. She did get married. She had a husband and they had 3 children. She outlived all of her family. But for her natural life, she was still considered a runaway. So she had to guard very cautiously against that.
Thank you so much, Diane. What a fascinating part of the American story. We're going to take a short break right now and catch you up on what the Humanities Council has been up to lately. Not too long ago, PHC's Ann Benzel sat down with PCN's Brian Lockman to talk humanities. Here they are.
Ann Benzel, you are currently the chair of the Pennsylvania Humanities Council. What is the Pennsylvania Humanities Council?
The Pennsylvania Humanities Council is a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to promote the humanities and cultural events throughout the state.
What does that word mean, the humanities?
Humanities has many different meanings to different people, but to me, my definition would be the humanities are those elements or entities that touch us in special ways in our everyday lives. For me, it's the arts, it's literature, it's history. The humanities are learning experiences that teach us a lot about who we are, where we came from, and hopefully where we're going.
How does the Pennsylvania Humanities Council promote the humanities?
Through programming, we have some absolutely wonderful programs that are far-reaching across the entire state. I'd love to tell you just a little bit about them. One of my personal favorites are the Commonwealth Speakers, who really visit every county in Pennsylvania, telling stories, small performances. Another absolute favorite is Read All About It, and this is through the library system. It encourages not only reading, but discussing what you've read. Another great program that we offer is a grants program. We offer grants to local organizations to support their programs and also to assist in bringing our programs into the area.
How often do you have these events?
We are part of partnerships within the community, weekly, monthly, seasonal. It depends. Check our calendar. It's listed at www.pahumanities.org on the web. I'm sure you'll find something you like.
Thank you, Ann and Brian. You know, the humanities really are the key to opening the door to the things that we're passionate about, like our history and our identity. And now we go back for more from Diane Turner. Please welcome her.
My Name is Oni Judge is based on a true story of a young African-American woman born during the period of American slavery who liberated herself. Most of the book is factual. Oni's words and feelings are imagined in order to bring to life her escape from slavery more than 210 years ago. My name is Ona Judge. I took my freedom. All my life I hungered for freedom. One day I took it. This is my story. I was born Ona Maria Judge during slave times, about the year 1774. Everybody started calling me Oni Judge. I was born during the time of the American Revolution. In 1770, an African named Crispus Attucks was the first to fall at the Boston Massacre. I also learned that Africans from Haiti came to America with General Lafayette and fought for American freedom. I guess that's why I always yearned for freedom. A year before my birth, in 1773, Phyllis Wheatley, the first African and the second American woman to publish a book, published her book called Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral. This was remarkable because most blacks were prohibited from learning how to read or write, especially enslaved Africans. Reading and writing became a major form of African resistance to slavery. It showed that we had just as much intelligence as anyone else. We were also able to let our feelings be known about the founding fathers of the United States who expressed their passion for liberty and freedom, yet kept us enslaved. I am the daughter of Betty and Andrew Judge. My father was an English tailor. My mother